In this world, there exist monstrous beasts, and the deities take the form of prophets. However, some people emerge in this life due to the evil gods. Faced with the myriad of creatures in the deep forest, a man, by merely performing a small act, finds himself surrounded by a pack of wolves and tigers. They are indeed the kings of this forest. What a pity that today you've encountered someone you shouldn't have messed with. To be precise, he is the incarnation of the black dragon god. The underlings of the Wolf King, unable to cope, leap forward only to be easily subdued. No matter how much they struggle, they cannot escape from this terrifying shadow. At this moment, a figure appears in the deep forest, driven solely by the instinct to survive. The man who is fleeing is unaware that another person has a dagger pointed at him. The bandits, seeing this, just laugh mockingly. "We need to hurry. It's dangerous out here in the woods tonight." Yet, many monstrous creatures also appear. I wonder if you've noticed, but there are far fewer beasts on this path than before. Before he could finish, the bearded man was stunned by the sight before him. The ground was a chaotic mess, with the bodies of the fallen marked by horrific bite marks. It seemed less like the aftermath of a battle for territory and more like a one-sided massacre. At that moment, one of the bandits suddenly shouted out to the crowd, "Everyone, come look at this." They spotted a man with pitch-black arms sitting motionless beside the Wolf King. Could this guy be the leader of the wolf pack? In other words, he is the one responsible for all this chaos. What nonsense are you talking about? How could a human inflict such bites and wounds? Just as the bandit reached out to check the situation, he was bitten fiercely by a creature that resembled a lizard. Don't panic if something happens. This little creature can be taken down with just one stab. The bald man barely raised his hand when a powerful blow interrupted him. What's going on? Pain rushed in, and he cried out in despair. "Shut up! You dare touch the others. Anyone who still intends to strike him will meet the same fate." Seeing this, everyone drew their weapons and advanced step by step. Clearly, a fierce battle was inevitable. The bearded man, seeing everyone hesitate, immediately shouted, "This man has killed Hans." I glanced briefly at the body on the ground and continued, "It's all right. He's got about 2 minutes left. If you leave now, there's still time." Clearly, these words were nothing but provocation in the eyes of the bandits. "Everyone, attack. Let's show this kid what it means when the white knife goes in and the golden knife comes out." Seeing their intention to fight, the man quickly pulled a black axe from his side. With his anger rising, dark scales began to spread across his body. The young man also took a fighting stance. As the leading bandit gave the command, the group charged towards us. I remained calm, slightly bending my knees before executing a powerful slash, leaving behind a trail of corpses and pained groans in my wake. Everyone was pushed back by the speed and strength of this monster. The archers, though a bit frightened, quickly aimed at the attacker from behind. The man felt uneasy and turned around, only to realize it was too late. One hand gripping his younger brother tightly under him, despite the sword piercing his back. The burly man with the beard, feeling assured of victory, suddenly sensed something was off. His expression shifted to one of fear. Suddenly, flames of black and red erupted from the man's back. The sword turned to ash in an instant. Black armor began to coalesce around his entire body. The flames morphed into various monstrous shapes in the air, as if a flood had burst its banks. A massive black dragon head appeared before everyone. The roar echoed through the sky, making it clear this was no joke. They had never witnessed anything so grand, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. The dark phosphor was about to engulf the man completely. After a moment of struggling within himself, he finally regained his composure. The beasts formed from the flames dissipated in that instant. "Damn it, we need to run." The younger brother looked at the man anxiously. The dark figure in the tree next to them let out a chilling laugh. Fortunately, even though the group of bandits suffered heavy losses, they didn't immediately deal with the man, but took him back to their hideout. The leader of the bandits recognized the monster before them and turned pale. This is the legend of the Dark Monarch, the king of all beasts in this forest. Could it all really be his doing? The younger brother, tightly bound by wooden planks, was clearly resentful. When the man awoke, he immediately alerted everyone. You all better deal with the Wolf King immediately, or this won't end well." Just as the captain was about to unleash a string of curses, the leader grabbed him tightly and asked, "What's your name?" "Ao Tian, dragon." "Enough of your nonsense, Ao Tian. Ao Tian do as I say now, or you will all die here." The captain, noticing that the leader was starting to waver, immediately began to assert himself. "Don't believe his lies. We've witnessed him transform into a terrifying monster. Haven't you heard the recent rumors swirling around Sanchez? They say a demon incarnate roams this land, emerging wherever there's moisture, to hunt for its prey. Wherever he passed, not a blade of grass was left standing. This completely matched the scene we encountered when we first entered the forest. This guy is definitely the embodiment of an evil deity in human form." Hearing this, the dragon Outhian couldn't help but laugh out loud. "What are you laughing at? Don't think I won't dare to touch you. You say I'm the embodiment of an evil deity, even eating creatures only found in mythology. Do you really think such a small chain can bind me?" The captain, hearing this, found himself at a loss for words. As the moon gradually appeared, a gentle breeze swept over the Wolf King's body. The dark night now had a hint of light. A few drops of tomato sauce fell, causing the leader to feel uneasy as he slowly lifted his head. The severely injured Wolf King was revived, his mouth still clamped tightly around the captain. "I told you before to handle him quickly. He is no longer the Wolf King, but has become a creature like a puppet of the evil deity, a monster even more terrifying than when he was alive." At this moment, the pack of wolves was heading toward their den. Behind them was a mysterious dark figure exuding the aura of a king. Wherever he passed, the grass and trees quickly withered. He gently pointed in one direction, and the wolf corpses, ignoring their pain, formed a staircase of wolves, rushing into the den as if charging into a feast. The entrance of the cave immediately collapsed. In the chaos, it accidentally knocked over a pile of fire. The flames erupted instantly, engulfing the pack of wolves. However, the wolf corpses kept pouring into the den. The Grim Reaper outside let out a victorious roar. Suddenly, a dark figure charged out from within the cave. It's the skull of the Wolf King. This head was thrown away without mercy. "Didn't you think to ask for my opinion, Manhwa?" The god of death gazed at the army, only to see a dark figure cutting through the flames, continuously mumbling to itself. The aura emanating around it formed the shape of a black dragon. It was a killing intent that felt like it came from hell, and it resembled the fear of prey being stalked by a hunter. At that moment, I realized I was being devoured, turning into a stiff black dragon. Facing death was just a girl who could only cry out. Just moments ago, Ao Thian had managed to dodge the thick flames surrounding him, which exuded a pressure that made it hard to breathe. What appeared before me was a being like the Grim Reaper. "I have one flaw: I can't do anything well, except when you sense the powerful killing intent from the creature before you." The Grim Reaper's response was a deafening roar. Immediately behind him, a terrifying scene unfolded. Countless wild beasts and zombies, warriors who disregarded their pain. However, this was of no use. Just a slight leap served as a warning. An attack from the pack of wild beasts, who didn't even understand why, was launched into the air. The beasts could only resist for 2.5 seconds against this storm-like assault. Seeing this, the Grim Reaper grew even angrier. 2 streams of deadly energy shot out from the eye sockets, accompanied by an ancient incantation. The figure of the Grim Reaper radiated a strange power, its size and strength multiplying exponentially. The roars of both sides echoed through the air, and fierce slashes transformed into a crimson light. In the air, they intertwined with each other. "Do you really think you can kill me?" A powerful punch sent the Grim Reaper stumbling back several meters. In an instant, he discarded the Grim Reaper's arms, and the scales on his body fell off in that very moment. The ruined body of the Grim Reaper appeared utterly pitiful. Althien slowly approached and was surprised to find that inside the body of the Grim Reaper was a girl with skin as white as snow. "Don't ask me why it's like this. It's unpredictable," he thought. At that moment, Althien realized the peculiarity of this woman. Her eyes were empty, as if she was soulless. Suddenly, a bizarre figure swiftly glided through the air, stopping mid-flight. It was a penguin. What a truly great day today, without end, isn't it? The penguin stared intently at Aotian for 2.5 seconds before its form gradually morphed into that of an old man, who finally spoke up. "This is simply unbelievable. I never expected you could defeat the puppet I cherished." Before she could finish, the white-haired girl was pushed away by Aotian. "She's noisy like a bird." "Oh, that's right, she originally is a bird. If you want to fight, stop babbling at me. I don't care about your tendencies or your past." Hearing this, the old man once again summoned the bird's head and wings. "Once you're dealt with, well, have a puppet stronger than that deer," he declared. Rising at the command of the old man, the previously dead and the wild beasts were endowed with new souls. Aotian looked around and thought to himself, is the old man really right? Those previous things were utterly pointless. When the old man called out, an endless army of undead surged towards Aotian. In an instant, the vast army had surrounded him. "There's no way out now. Look, kid, do you still dare to be arrogant? Your power is nothing now." The powerful strike from Kwon pierced through the mind. "Old man, I thought you would bring me some surprises, but now all I see is your wide-eyed shock. Take a good look at who the real prey is." Just as a red light flared up, the army of zombies instantly transformed into executioners. The scene before Kwon-don, who hadn't wet himself in 2.5 years, now left him speechless. "What the hell is this that frightens me so?" Not only was it Aotian's strength, but also the breath he exhaled that formed a black dragon head. "It's time to say goodbye, old man." As the dragon's mouth opened, blood and brain matter fell. In that moment, Kwon-da split into 4 pieces. This is just the beginning. What awaits him is not mere stomach acid, but a horde of monsters converging to form an Asura hell. Before long, he will be torn apart as these monsters feast, mocking him. "Welcome to the team, new buddy." As Kwon-ga fell, the white-haired girl's eyes gradually became clearer. The scene before her was so overwhelming that she could hardly regain her composure. The dark aura obscured the sky like monstrous waves, leaving her weak and trembling, only able to whimper. Atuin noticed that her recovery was evident with just a glance. The girl with the white hair was so shocked that she stood frozen, unable to even swallow. She feared that even the slightest movement could provoke the murderous intent of the man before her. Atuin suddenly seemed to remember something and asked, "Have you escaped the control of the god of demons yet?" Upon hearing this, the girl felt a wave of pain wash over her. A bright figure appeared in her memory, with dazzling white wings that were almost blinding. Atuin sensed the mention of wings and immediately grew alert. "If I'm not mistaken, you, like me, are a victim of those wings, aren't you?" The girl with the white hair looked at Atuin, confused. She didn't understand his question. But Atuin's next words completely shattered her understanding. Transforming into a massive black dragon after the defeat of Kwon-ga and the god of death, what stood before him now was a girl who could not fight back. "No matter how cruel it may seem, there are some things I have to tell you. I am a descendant of dragons, one of the few survivors of that genocide, and the deity you worship is the true perpetrator of this massacre." After hearing this, the girl with the white hair bowed her head. "I don't understand what you're saying." The sudden dizziness made the girl with the white hair collapse onto the ground. He remained calm. "Perhaps I've overloaded you with too much information at once, and you can't handle it." At this moment, the girl felt as if she were sinking into her own dream. This scene was both familiar and foreign to her. Years had passed, but what had she done wrong? Why wouldn't they let her go? Everyone viewed her as a bloodthirsty monster, yet clearly that was not who she was. As a tear slowly fell, the reflection she saw was the one thing the girl with the white hair dreaded the most. Hope and despair intertwined. Yet, what was unfolding before her made it impossible for her to deny that she was the cause of it all. Just when she was drowning in confusion, a brilliant light suddenly flashed behind her. Everything came just in time, warm and comforting. "Is it really possible to sleep so soundly in this strange dream I thought you wouldn't wake up at all? Looking at the pained expression on your sleeping face, I just know you're having a nightmare. Luby, come here for a moment." Atuin's voice caught the attention of the girl with the white hair. "Hey buddy, I'll leave the next task to you." From his mouth, tiny sparks began to gather, and in an instant, a flame erupted, engulfing the mountainous pile of debris. The souls that didn't belong to these monsters were now completely freed. This method of working truly suits the nature of those lunatics. Finally, it's done. Time to relax a bit. Hey, you forgot something. No, it's obvious you really put in a lot of effort this time. What is going on? Oh, shut up, you guy who always peddles useless information. After saying that, he pointed at the white-haired girl and continued to scold her. Is this the kind of information you give me, and you're still mocking me? The mission is complete. Now hurry up and hand over the gold. Don't rush. People are really hurting here. The rabbit had just stood up and turned to the white-haired girl. Can you tell me your name? My full name is Diga Maricia, but you can call me Dia. I can't believe I'm meeting a victim just like a twin. The rabbit is doomed if you don't want me to take you to Lubi for dinner. Got it. Hello, Hojia. Let's get going. As the pocket watch emitted a glow, the ground around them began to tremble violently. Suddenly, the three of them fell down through a passageway. Dia screamed at the abrupt fall, sweat trickling down his forehead. Why are these two so foolish? They didn't even give a warning. Upon opening his eyes, he was stunned by the sight before him. Is this really a legendary scene? Sorry, Dia, I was late to introduce myself. You shouldn't apologize to me for suddenly digging a hole like that. I'm the biggest information trader on this continent and a member of the Rabbit Clan. You can call me Buck too. A twin, and I have an unusual relationship. The sacred tree we're standing in front of is known as the Buck Lien Thu. Wait a minute. I really appreciate you saving me from that evil deity, but why bring me here, things? If you want to know, just follow me. I'll give you a satisfactory answer. When Dia asked Atuyan about the transformation, Atuyan's response was a stinky roasted chicken. Just by sticking a feather in, you can declare yourself a god. Seeing Dia's skeptical expression, Baktu continued to explain. The wings, just like those of the gods, will grant power. But his power feels more like a curse. After hearing this, Dia fell into deep thought. This is the largest slave market in this cafe. They are all captives of slave hunters, those who are on the run. As long as the price is right in this market, there isn't a slave they can't find, including the powerful Baktu. Dia paused, looking puzzled. So, what are you bringing me here for? You'll find out soon. Atuyan kicked Dia, making him spin 2.5 times. Is this guy out of his mind? Just as Dia was about to curse, he realized something was off. In this dark, cramped dungeon, there were so many people tied up. They are live sacrifices for the transformation. Ha! The sacred tree you see outside has grown this large because of these sacrifices. And Atuyan's next words left Dia in shock. A man had brought this woman into the dark dungeon. Although their paths are different, they all share the same goal to transform into a demon at the top of the tree. Just moments ago, Atuyan and Dia exchanged glances through the bars. If you want to meet the transformation, you have to bait. Dia couldn't believe that the man who had just saved him. I'll leave this girl to you. I need to head to the arena first. Just as Atuyan was about to depart, Dia shouted out, Wait, can you answer me one question? Are all the people imprisoned here due to your actions? So what if they are? Doesn't that mean you can finally meet your beloved transformation? Atuyan replied, I am still human. To achieve my goals, I won't hesitate to use any means necessary. These weak individuals are innocent. Don't you feel the slightest bit guilty? Upon hearing this, Atuyan remained silent, looking at Dia for 2.5 seconds before shaking his head and walking away. This guy doesn't even need to get his hands dirty, yet he can still do whatever he wants. Meanwhile, Bai Zi's words nearly drove him insane. Don't forget that these captives are sacrifices for the transformation you worship. Thinking about their fate makes it hard for me not to shed tears. It's truly disgusting that the rabbit dies. I enjoy seeing you despise me, but being unable to kill me. And even now, you are still controlled by the evil deity. The people you've imprisoned are just a small fraction compared to those you've killed. Even if it wasn't your intent, you can hardly escape the guilt. Atuyan and I both understand your feelings because we share the same enemy. And the transformation is still at the White Lotus Temple. It's up at the top of this tree. Only those who offer sacrifices to the shrine can qualify for a ticket to the arena. The reward for the victor isn't just the power from the White Lotus tree, they can also become the protector of the transformation. What has a twin truly experienced? It's hard to explain all the details, but one thing I can say is he is not just a descendant of the Black Dragon, he is also the embodiment of vengeance, having endured the pain of his clan's destruction. He may have already surpassed that great being. At another part of the arena, a twin was preparing for battle. "How far along is the task you assigned?" Bai Zi replied proudly. "Everything is going according to your plan." A twin, this person has finally softened and chosen the hardest path. If he had resolved from the beginning to indiscriminately massacre innocent people, it would be easy for him to attract the enemy's attention. But if he goes through with it, he will cross the line between human and monster. After that, living a human life will no longer be an option. Do you dare to look at me like I'm some kind of worm? No, I wouldn't dream of it. I just can't seem to digest that old bird properly. Think of it as a warm-up exercise after a meal. All I need to do is stand by and watch. Ubi will take care of you. If I come back and find even a single hair missing from him, don't be surprised if you find yourself enjoying another meal tonight. I may say that, but does the big guy Luby even have hair? Don't dodge the issue. It's time to teach these clueless chickens what it means to be human. Right now, in the arena, the fourth small team is ready. The previous teams couldn't last even 2 seconds. Honestly, I just want to go home. With hands and feet like these, it's not easy to deal with things. We have to hold our formation and not give him a chance. This guy has claws with incredible strength. Hey, you're blocking my way. Anyone with hands can do this, so why make it so complicated? What a cocky little brat. Just a human, and yet he dares to provoke me. Today, you'll pay for your foolishness. Next time, keep in mind not to be so arrogant. Black Tiger, tear out his heart. Oh my, he's still showing no restraint. This guy has extraordinary speed and strength. Could this be the feeling of excitement? It's time to end this, little wildcat. When Aochin's roar echoed, the crowd's cheers erupted in a frenzy. Clean your neck and wait. It won't be long before I come and pluck each feather from you, then devour you alive. Aochin entered this battle not just to grab a branch to meet the Avatar, but also because the White Lotus God had a very solid defense. Direct invasion is impossible. To execute this plan, a good bait is needed to stir up chaos within the enemy, and Dia is the perfect choice for this revenge plan. As the doors of the White Lotus Temple slowly opened, everyone was led into a realm of despair that they would have to endure. Dia stepped in and was stunned by the sight before him. He never expected that the White Lotus Temple on the sacred tree would be such a magnificent palace. The sudden pressure made Dia feel terrified. Could he really be the one? No need to be that scared. Welcome to the shrine of the goddess. Those lost in the deep abyss of fear, lift your heads high. Oh my, is this divine? I am the master of the White Lotus Tree and also the earthly avatar of the goddess Iodine. The compassionate goddess has granted me the strength to confront all darkness. My full name is a thorn lying in a suitcase. You may call me Kawaii. Being chosen as a sacrifice is your blessing. Your bodies will attain immortality alongside this sacred tree. But just then, a sudden scream in the temple cut off his speech. Please spare my sister. Please spare my sister. She's still so young. Kawaii smiled and stepped forward, saying, Those with kind hearts, show your reverence for the goddess with a noble heart. Thank you. The flame of hope in everyone's hearts was mercilessly extinguished. In his fury, Dia recognized the harsh truth: I must eliminate you. How touching, this sisterly bond. In reality, your sister has been freed from fear and can now embark on her journey. You all should be extremely grateful to me. At this moment, the Guardians felt something unusual. This woman is a bit off. It gradually emanated from Dia's body. The Guardians were shocked by the appearance of the giant before them. This nightmare has some issues. My body won't move. You're not a savior at all. Stop pretending. This is interesting. Among the offerings was a transformation. Illusory deaths continued to pour out and slowly formed. The sudden screams from everyone caught Dia's attention. Monster, help me. The terrified gazes of the crowd reignited his deep-seated fears. Am I really going to have to go back? Yet the words of the person before him snapped him back to reality. Don't resist, find yourself again. I don't know who you are, but I sincerely thank you. As a mysterious power awakened, a strong force from the forest suddenly emerged. In an instant, everyone was surrounded by incredibly strong tree trunks. "Don't be afraid, everyone. I will save all of you." What's happening? Dia saw the little deer daring to be arrogant before him. Even with your two different powers, your transformation is just an anonymous figure from a distant place. It seems like you've been in this desolate place for too long. I have a resounding name, Druids, the embodiment of the wild. Little deer, perhaps you've never witnessed divine power when the branches grow. Gigantic warhammer appeared. The hammer shot forth powerfully towards Kawaii. It's the might of the divine that forces you to submit, not to dance before me. Dia's concentrated will easily shattered the hammer. This powerful explosion immediately caught everyone's attention. Aoqian was also taken aback by how quickly everything unfolded. What was happening before Dia made him realize that this person and he were definitely not on the same level of transformation. In the sky, a gigantic golden bird's nest hung in midair. As a sudden snap echoed, the birdcage plummeted to the ground. Dia was bewildered as he caught sight of a colossal figure emerging from the smoke, leaving him dazed for 2.5 seconds. Oh, you're going to transform too, aren't you? This bird is extremely dangerous, you should run. Dia suddenly snapped back to reality. When did those two bones protrude? I didn't even get a good look at its creature. Your courage truly impresses me, but what a pity. With your tiny frame, you wouldn't be enough to even stuff into the gaps of my teeth for the girl who holds my soul. Even the protection you dream of hides an incredibly daunting ability and secret. Right at this moment, Aoqian had defeated the last monster in the arena. As this life-and-death battle came to a close, the Guardians prepared rewards for the victor. Beside Duke Hakimi, it seemed he was plotting something as well, and the item in this chest was the key that led to the peak of the White Lotus tree. Meanwhile, Dia in the temple had been seriously injured by the protruding bones. Standing behind him were the people he had protected. In front of him appeared a fox spirit with an unpredictable power, making Dia's situation increasingly dire. Take a good look at the people behind you. It's because of this monster that they feel fear. Am I the real monster here? That's actually not a bad idea. Given the current situation, Dia has only one option left. That is to transform into the Grim Reaper and beat down the evil standing before you. Seeing this bloodthirsty monster, Kawaii also felt a bit intrigued. I admit, your determination has touched me. If I use this move, how would you respond? Dia suddenly turned around, sensing something was off. Just then, the ground shook violently. In the blink of an eye, those within the protective shield were frozen. Under the feet of the bird fox, a flurry of branches shot up from the ground, continuously stabbing into its body. This is the great art bestowed upon me by the goddess, Witness, the might of the goddess. You should feel incredibly fortunate. Just as the words left my lips, the branches of Baklian glowed red. Gradually, they converged toward the body of the divine bird. The essence of this red light is the royal souls trapped in those branches. The comfortable feeling brought by this power made Kawaii feel joyous. He waved his hand, and the trees created by Dia quickly withered and collapsed. The Guardians sensed this power, and their bodies began to undergo unusual transformations. The immortal puppets were born. The roar of the soul of the bird fox nearly overwhelmed Dia, and he found himself unable to move under the pressure. How unfortunate I can't use my powers at all. Kawaii's hand gently lifted, and Dia was immediately wrapped tightly. Remember whose territory you're in. Your transformation in front of me is merely a snack, you arrogant deer. I'm giving you a chance to survive. It's 1,000 plus 7. If you want to kill, then go ahead. I don't want to see your disgusting face. Just as Kawaii was about to raise his hand to deal with the enemy, the door suddenly opened, and a flash of red light shot out as a shadow lunged straight at Kawaii. At that moment, Aoqian also noticed Dia. He chuckled lightly, saying, "You two are having quite the fun, aren't you?" Kawaii also noticed the branches of Baklin. He has truly exploited the rules of the arena to assassinate me. Looking outside the temple, everything had turned into chaos, and as Aoqian got a clearer view of Kawaii, his suspicion grew. "Hey, I told you to find the transformation of the wings. What are you fooling around with?" This statement startled Dia for 2.5 seconds. "You annoying brat, shut your mouth. How dare you insult my great wing transformation? Just watch, I'll tear your mouth apart and spit out that nonsense tongue." So that's how it is. White Cat, you should know that the fool before you is not the wing transformation. Meanwhile, outside the temple, Hakimi swiftly eliminated one of the guardians with a powerful slash. The battle between the two sides had entered a fierce stage. "Brothers, charge with me." Leaving no survivors, the unusual sounds from behind the door captured his attention. As soon as he stepped through the door, he was stunned by the scene before him. The stairs inside were littered with corpses and dismembered body parts of the guardian avatars. Back inside the temple, the battle between Aotian and the three others was about to begin. Dia heard Aotian's words and immediately expressed her skepticism. It turned out he was an imposter. Isn't that a pointless statement? The goddess granted him such a grand title precisely because he possesses 3 pairs of white wings. And this avatar before them didn't even have a single appropriate pair of wings. How is that any different from a running chicken now? In response to the absurdity that made me laugh, I feel it's only right to reward you accordingly. When Kawaii heard this, he looked genuinely surprised. This guy actually understands the concept of winged avatars so well. With a single command, the transformed guards immediately charged at Aotian. This was a fierce battle of revenge and demons, marking the beginning of a cycle of survival and destruction. At that moment, Aotian transformed into a dragon claw. With just a swing of his hand, he could sever the divine tree. Finally free from Kawaii's control, he thanked Aotian once more for saving him. "Stop talking nonsense. You'll handle the rest. You can go wherever you want." At this moment, Dia noticed a surge of power emanating from the dry tree trunks, but her concern was directed towards the 2 children. Aotian suddenly felt a wave of danger. He immediately shouted at Dia, "Run!" Just then, as the guards attacked in close combat, their heads were swatted away by Aotian's claws. As the power gradually surged, countless bones erupted like a torrential downpour. In an instant, Aotian was buried under that force, while Dia found herself in a perilous situation. The fallen protectors shielded the 2 children before her. As the thick smoke began to dissipate, the figure of Aotian emerged, resembling a black dragon. The bird-like creature hadn't even had a chance to react before the dark figure of Aotian, with its massive body, collapsed to the ground, headless. Aotian reacted, but it was too late. "I admit you truly are strong enough to witness the full extent of the power bestowed upon me by the goddess." Just as he finished speaking, a strange halo appeared behind Kawaii, with 11 claws pointed directly at the fallen Aotian. Dia sensed that the situation was dire. "This is bad. This guy is coming for me." Snarling, Kawaii thought it was insane to approach him with that filthy mouth. The branches in the swamp not only tore apart Aotian's 2 arms, but also created larger waves surrounding the enemy. With a furious roar from Aotian, dark energy poured out from his wounds. A larger dragon claw suddenly appeared. This sight left Kawaii stunned for 2.5 seconds. Suddenly, I came up with a bold idea, unsure whether to voice it or not. Aotian compressed his rage from his severed arms into his powerful palm, swinging it out as his life force swiftly erupted forth. Kawaii quickly used his magic staff to block the attack, but he unexpectedly met a tragic end. After being struck, Kawaii let out a horrified scream that sounded like a mother hen laying an egg. His transformed form disintegrated in that instant. Dia, witnessing everything, couldn't help but break into a cold sweat, relieved that Aotian had held back. Just as Aotian was about to step in and deliver another blow, the headless monster suddenly got back up. The impact was as if a meteor had fallen from the sky. Aotian managed to dodge to the side and then turned back to strike fiercely. Through the mist, a more terrifying shadow emerged, prompting Aotian to leap once again. The battle escalated dramatically. A strange crack appeared in the sky, as if a mysterious dark figure from the divine had descended unexpectedly. The pressure radiating from him made it hard for everyone to breathe, and his target was none other than the temple atop the white sacred tree. At that moment, Aotian was fighting desperately against Kawaii. In the blink of an eye, Aotian delivered a powerful kick that pierced through Kawaii. Although Kawaii endured the blow, he absolutely couldn't miss this rare opportunity. Seeing Aotian's foot aimed right at him, Kawaii was instantly pinned down by the magic tree. Kawaii flashed a wicked smile. "Aren't you running pretty fast? Go on, run." As soon as he finished speaking, the chest of the headless monster suddenly opened, and a series of jagged bones erupted like curses unleashed. In an instant, the sound of an explosion echoed throughout the temple. Dia anxiously called out Atien's name. The dark figure unexpectedly circled around behind Kawaii, and by the time he noticed, it was too late. Powerful punches rained down on Kawaii's arms, but he managed to react just in time to dodge. Although this attack didn't inflict severe damage, it was incredibly humiliating. Kawaii was so enraged that he began screaming furiously. As Atien landed, Kawaii was shocked by what he saw. What on earth are those legs? Can he transform into something else? Meanwhile, Dia began to piece together what had happened. At the moment the bone grazed Atien, he had used his dragon claws to sever his own legs to avoid catastrophic injury. In fact, he managed to regrow his legs while airborne. Atien's incredible power left Kawaii deep in thought. To defeat him thoroughly, it was essential to control him and deliver a finishing blow. There could be no chance for recovery. Kawaii began to unleash a powerful ground-shaking skill. What on earth was this guy up to? The prolonged battle was clearly unfavorable for Atien. The tremors from the temple shook the white magic, and this moment was precisely when Atien noticed it. He saw his power gradually accumulating in his strong legs as he leaped into the air. His action shocked both of them. This guy had truly given up his advantage on the ground. With a powerful strike, Atien slammed down onto the ceiling. Was he out of his mind? He came all this way just to destroy my home. As Atien fell with the stones from the ceiling, he was drained of strength, like a lamb caught in a trap. Kawaii approached Atien slowly, laughing heartily. "Now your limbs can't move. Do you really think you can kill me?" Facing Kawaii's threat, Atien calmly asked, "How many people have you killed so far?" The silly question caught Kawaii off guard, making him chuckle. "How could I possibly remember how many I've devoured?" This answer seemed to please Atien. "It seems you still don't grasp how heavy the value of life is." Just as he finished speaking, a pair of black wings suddenly sprouted from Atien's back. The immense pressure of death exploded in an instant. How could one remember how many seeds they've eaten? This response greatly pleased Atien. "It seems you still don't understand how heavy the value of life truly is," he said. As soon as the words left his mouth, a pair of black wings suddenly sprouted from Atien's back. The immense pressure of death erupted in that moment, sending him soaring into the sky. Thanks to the skill Soul of the King, Atien's dragon form in its third stage also transformed into an ancient shape. All of this was due to the death of Kuan, but it wasn't over yet. A strange ripple of energy emanated from the ceiling. Kawaii slowly lifted his head and was met with an unbelievable sight. Those he had previously hung on the sacred tree were coming back to life. And once these people left the sacred tree, it meant that Kawaii could no longer absorb souls through it. A vast army from all directions charged toward Kawaii. At that moment, even Dia couldn't help but think, "I really do wonder if this chicken tastes as good as it smells." In an instant, Kawaii was consumed by the very things he had created. Using all his strength, he managed to break free from the pile of rubble. As he drifted into the darkness, Kawaii charged straight at Dia. "Even if I die today, I'll take at least one of you with me." But what Kawaii didn't expect was, just as the sky erupted with a loud explosion, a brilliant golden beam shot straight towards Kawaii. The light from the explosion blinded him, and as the smoke gradually cleared, he felt someone stepping on his head like a basketball. And this mysterious figure emanated an aura that suggested they had been training for 2.5 years. Kawaii's wary eyes made Dia feel a cold sweat trickle down his forehead. The stranger suddenly knelt down, making Dia realize, "I'm here to welcome you. I hope your journey has been smooth." At that moment, the boy standing behind Dia slowly stood up. Stones beneath Atien's feet suddenly jutted upwards. A massive number of branches from the divine tree shot straight towards Atien, and compared to before, these branches were significantly stronger. While fleeing, Atien glanced at Kawaii, who was using a white spell to continuously replenish his strength. Even the previous injuries had completely healed. A troubling sensation was rising in Dia's mind. The boy was not only sprouting long hair, but his body was also rapidly growing. What appeared before everyone was Dai Bao, an incarnation of the wings bestowed by the goddess on earth. The man whom the heavens and earth had always worried about was now standing before them. But the guardian of the wings before him had the power to shatter space with a single punch. What terrifying strength did he himself possess? After he stood up, Dia only needed to look into his eyes for 2.5 seconds to feel an odd, painful sensation. It was as if the power within his body was resonating with him. Dia looked suspiciously at the silhouette of this man. Who was he? Really kawaii, with a cold demeanor, slowly approached the man in front of him. At the moment their eyes met, his pupils nearly dropped. Could it be that your name is Kongu? Why are you here? It seems your memory is still good. At least you haven't forgotten who I am. How could I possibly forget you? You, the cruel former master, are the reason for everything that has happened today. After speaking, the mysterious figure simply raised his hand, and the guardian immediately pulled Kawaii forward, bringing him in front of the incarnation of the wings. Among the lives we originally created, only those of value were allowed to stand in the sky. Do you think you qualify as a loyal servant of yours? I admired you, respected you, only because I wanted to learn how to fly to the sky. Yet, you sought to tear my wings apart, even going so far as to kill tens of thousands, transforming into this form, just to regrow those wings. Before he could finish, Kongu gently placed his hand on Kawaii's chest, and Kongu's response was only 6 words. You are completely without worth. Immediately, Kawaii's entire body was engulfed in light, reverting to his most basic form. From within, a single shard of resin fell out, just a mere object combining the power of the holy tree. Compared to this fragment from another world, it was still miles away. Goyu was more concerned about the woman named Dia than about Kawaii, the weakling. At this moment, not far away in the Lion Mountain, a fierce beast began to open its eyes. The voice of this being, Atian would never forget. It was a long-buried memory. Goyu's dream was to find the horizon leading to the divine realm on this continent. To fulfill this dream, he was even willing to become an enemy of all humanity. Atian had relied on his tribe since he was young, and all that remained of his beautiful, gentle mother had vanished with Goyu's departure, reduced to mere memories. In the blink of an eye, back in the present, Goyu stood before the woman connected to him. Anger surged within him, breaking through the chains of pain. I've searched for you for 20 years. All the sorrow and resentment transformed into a blade of vengeance in that moment. Atian swung his arm fiercely, the sharp blade aimed directly at the mysterious figure. Yet, the attack was effortlessly blocked by the guardian. The mysterious figure smiled knowingly. Atian, who dares to block my path? Atian dashed toward the guard, but unexpectedly, within just 2.5 seconds, Atian lost his head and then quickly recovered. The guard, feeling curious, asked for his name. In response, Atian simply said 2 words, "Call me Dad." The story didn't add up. It was needless to elaborate. Can you handle this punch, which is a result of my 10 years of training? Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. At that moment, Gokvu and Dia exchanged intense glances. Just as Gokvu was about to make his move against Dia, a battle axe flew through the air, but only cut through empty space. This guy is fast. How does he have such speed? It had been a while since they last met. Hakini, it's been so long and you still haven't given up, huh? If that dark-skinned guy hasn't thrown in the towel, why should I? Indeed, at that moment, the guard sensed something unusual about Atian. He immediately kicked back to create some distance. Atian's form began to change, gradually growing in size with his rising anger. A pair of massive wings erupted from his back, and a deafening roar filled the air, shocking everyone present. Yu looked at the massive black dragon before him and said with a smile, "Today is a great day, filled with old friends coming to celebrate me." The man was lost in his own memories, facing not only painful recollections, but also the towering dragon looming over him. This black dragon was the source of Atian's power. The greater his desires, the more powerful the black dragon became. All the dragon needed was the hatred and anger brewing within Atian. At this moment, Atian had fully transformed into a dragon. His size and strength had multiplied. Even the guard couldn't help but wonder if the man before him had indeed grown larger. The guard radiated a brilliant golden light, while Ao Tian's spiritual energy began to gather in his mouth. With the attacks from both sides, a powerful wave formed between them. After a strong collision, Guyu effortlessly blocked it with his wings. This kid managed to do that without even straining himself, and his mind remained undisturbed. Hakimi seized the moment, fueled by the hope of avenging his fallen comrades, charging straight at Guyu. Just as he was about to swing, Guyu appeared behind him with an untraceable speed. "Lin Lin Huin, Gap and the battle axe are right behind me," Guyu said casually. "Time to meet your good friends." Takimi sacrificed himself once again, as if the god of war had possessed him. "You may defeat my body, but you will never win against me." After taking care of Hakimi, Guyu turned back to Dia. "You seem quite terrified, just like you were in the past." Weak and fragile, Dia lifted her gaze toward Guyu, and suddenly, lost memories flooded back into her mind. In his moments of loneliness and despair, it was the man standing before her who had offered him help. Guyu placed a hand on his chest and said, "The branches within me are trembling. This signifies that you too are chosen by the great tree." As Guyu passed Dia, she immediately expressed doubt about the branches. The branches are the strength bestowed upon earthly beings by the divine. They can transform into human form and possess abilities far beyond those of ordinary humans. As soon as he finished speaking, Guyu thrust a branch into the body of a bird spirit. Instantly, bolts of lightning erupted around the bird, millions of sparks shooting into the sky. I thought a giant was approaching, but it turned out to be just a 2.5-foot tall child. That child was Guyu, who had been imprisoned for many years. At the same time, it was also a brother of the same origin as Guyu, named Keys. Transitioning to the other side, the battle between the Guardian and Ao Tian was still ongoing. The giant dragon hand of Ao Tian roared once more toward the Guardian. After the collision, the advantage of the Guardian was no longer apparent. In front of the Great Hall, the three paths resembled mere toys. Just as he was pondering how to handle the monster before him, Ao Tian suddenly spread his wings in warning. With a mere flick of his hand, he shot out of the temple like a bullet, creating a cloud of dust. Dust obscured everything around. Seeing this, Kiz displayed a hint of concern on his face. To ease his anxiety, a reassuring pat on the head from someone beside him made him feel less afraid. At that moment, Ao Tian was swinging his hand in the air, but just in the blink of an eye, gathered all of his strength to unleash the ultimate technique, Celestial Flame. As he swung his wings, a massive fireball hurtled straight toward the temple. Seeing this, Guyu slowly raised his hand and said, "You dare to underestimate us with just this. There is no place left for you in the Dragon Clan." Just as the light touched Ao Tian's technique, it effortlessly pierced through the flame at the speed of light. With such terrifying speed, Ao Tian couldn't evade the force of this attack. It tore through the clouds above. In a distant place, a boy watched, his voice choked as he shouted, "Ao Tian, this is madness. I came to report on the battle situation. I've confirmed the location of the winged avatar. Just from this battle alone, I have confirmed that the White God technique has been destroyed. Anyway, thanks to the power of the winged avatar, this is truly unfair. But our trump card is the Black Dragon Revenge avatar. Ao Tian has failed. This person had been a trainee who could sing and dance since childhood, all because of a sharp remark that attracted a little fan who could breathe fire. Just a moment ago, on a mysterious land, speed and excitement were unfolding on the back of a dragon. The reason the little dragon was running so fast was that 5 dogs were chasing after it. "Boss, I haven't eaten anything hot for 3 days. Leave that lizard for me. Get lost. I was here first." As the doctor stepped back, the charming figure of Ao Tian appeared before the little dragon for the first time. "Boss, is that the house next door? That would be great. We can enjoy hot meals from now on." Hearing the voice, it seemed like he was a dog from the neighboring village, but why did he look like a human? "Forget it. I'm leaving," Ao Tian boasted, thinking of a little meal at this moment. In the eyes of the little dragon, he appeared as a giant towering at 2.5 meters tall. At this moment, a person, a dragon, and a dog were resting under the shade. The little dragon wagged its tail madly, displaying friendliness. Although Ao Tian was aware, he pretended not to notice. Hey, why do you keep following me? The little dragon said nothing, but continued to nod and wag its tail in greeting to Ao Tian. You look like you don't have any meat. You definitely won't taste good. Ao Tian's words prompted the little dragon to bite him. Do you really want to get hit? The little dragon's reaction was, aren't you a lizard? How can you breathe fire? Could it be that you're a dragon? You didn't pay any attention to me before, but now you can't reach me. Suddenly, the ground shook, making Ao Tian feel uneasy. When he turned around, a shadow from hell appeared before his eyes. It's you. Give me the fire sensation you promised. At this point, Ao Tian had been chased for 2.5 minutes. If he went just a few more meters, he would reach the desert. In a moment of dire straits, Ao Tian unleashed his agility as an intern. Jumping into this desert is really freezing. But what Ao Tian didn't expect was that there was someone here in this desert. The current situation left no room for Ao Tian to think about anything else. The fact that Nongya Tegak was still alive was an undeniable truth. If you're so interested, then I'll have a little fun with you. It'll show you the true power of the Black Dragon's descendant. Just as he finished speaking, a mysterious figure suddenly appeared behind Ao Tian. When did this guy get here? As he took off his hat, the youthful image of Guyu appeared for the first time before Ao Tian. Although this person was the boss of the desert, his sharp instincts still made him feel a sense of fear. With just one glance from Guyu, this character immediately turned to run. Ao Tian was bewildered by what was happening, but he sensed that this person was definitely very powerful. Guyu kindly asked Ao Tian, "Are you okay?" What seemed like a chance encounter was, in fact, the moment when the gears of fate began to turn for both of them. For Ao Tian, this fate marked a significant change in his life, especially as he had just returned to the village. As soon as Ao Tian returned to the village, he caught the attention of Dai Hua. Why didn't you tell your sister where you were running off to for so long? When someone asked Ao Tian about the person next to him, he stammered, unsure of how to respond. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out to him, followed by a stern lecture from his sister. Did you sneak off to some mysterious place again? What would you do if something happened? And what about that lizard on your head? Let's not dwell on that. I'll introduce you. This is Mr. Guyu, the one who saved your sister. A sudden cough interrupted Ao Tian, his palms stained with black ink as he gasped. Mother, are you okay? Quickly, follow me back to the room. You're not fully recovered yet, and you shouldn't be out like this. At that moment, Ao Tian was unaware of the tragedy that was about to unfold. In the blink of an eye, everyone had arrived at the leader's camp. The leader presented a feast while solemnly expressing his gratitude to Guyu for rescuing the tribe's members. This favor he received from the tribe made Guyu very pleased, as it was the destination he had long sought. He sensed a hint of danger in the air. The little dragon sensed something amiss. A familiar gaze struck fear into the little dragon, causing it to hide behind Ao Tian. The leader announced, Mr. Guyu will represent the tribe during our absence. Ao Tian's demeanor shifted to a heavier tone. He then asked Guyu about the purpose of his visit. Guyu candidly told everyone that he was an explorer studying geography and incarnations. After saying this, he took out a warm sheepskin from his bag. Over the years, he had traveled across this continent, encountering all sorts of legends and stories. In this deep crimson desert, there was a particular legend about an incarnation. The leader immediately inquired, Sir, which incarnation are you seeking? His name is Azdahaka, one of the first to be bestowed with divine power by the gods. There are a total of 6 such incarnations, and he is the strongest among them. Not only does he inspire awe in people, but he is also revered by them. People refer to him as the incarnation of the Black Dragon demon, symbolizing his race and status. Humans may live for less than 100 years, but the deity they worship, the Black Dragon, harbors a world-shattering secret. When this secret is uncovered by a Thean, it will completely alter his perception of reality. At this moment, in the tent of the Nuna tribe, the elixir gifted by Kovu has been fully consumed. Immediately, she felt a burst of joy, as if it had been ages since she last experienced it. After a brief pause, Kovu announced that they needed to venture out to survey the terrain once more. Naturally, they wouldn't miss this narrow alley. Her sister's gentle voice called out to Athene, who, as usual, smiled like an angel. "Everyone, be careful. I will wait for your return. Don't worry, Sister Luna, when I come back, I will bring you plenty of delicious treats." Athene cast a quick glance before departing, but he was surprised to find the adults watching him with serious expressions. Athene quickly understood their unspoken message. About 2.5 hours later, the two arrived at the riverbank and took a brief rest. Athene asked Kovu about the progress of their recent investigation. If they failed to achieve the desired outcome, would they consider seeking an alternative path? Kovu responded, "The available information only reveals the fragmented history of the Black Dragon's descendants. Legends tell that in the past, Athene's ancestors were besieged by invaders, yet the Black Dragon, wielding the power of a dark deity, repelled the enemy, allowing Athene's tribe to flourish and multiply. All of this is thanks to the malevolent deity they both revere and fear. However, the villagers seldom speak of the Black Dragon. When Kovu notices the wounds on Athene's body, she inquires if he has been hunting again in secrecy. Athene can only plead with Kovu to keep his secret. It turns out Athene has been orphaned since childhood due to a mysterious illness. The responsibility of raising Athene fell to his older sister, who had tirelessly cared for him since he was little. But now she is also unwell. Athene knows he must step up to care for her. Dismissing this heavy topic, Athene asks Kovu why she is searching for the incarnations. Because the incarnations possess sacred treasures bestowed by the divine. Each treasure represents the power of different gods. 6 incarnations, endowed with divine strength, have transcended comprehension. If someone were to gather all these treasures, that individual would undoubtedly stand at the pinnacle of this continent. Therefore, what lies within the ancient grounds is Athene himself. A single remark from Lumbung leaves Kovu stunned. "You truly know something, so hurry and tell me." Athene feels he has let the cat out of the bag. He can no longer keep it hidden and begins to recount. When Athene was just 2.5 years old, his sister had told him, after driving away the invaders, the Black Dragon did not stop there. It turned the entire desolate land to ash. Subsequently, the Black Dragon entrusted a scale to their ancestors. After separating its power, the Black Dragon fell into a deep slumber. The ancestors then constructed a temple in the Dragon Valley. They commanded the elite warriors of the village to guard the scale day and night, solely to protect the Black Dragon's treasure. I know what you intend to say, but that is a treasure we have preserved through generations. If the village chief permits, you may stay as long as you wish. I cannot take you to this place alone." After hearing Athene's words, Kovu fell into deep thought for a moment before replying, "Then I hope you can accompany me to another destination." Thus, they spent the entire afternoon walking towards a land of fiery red. Luby seemed weary at that moment. Athene held tightly to him, asking, "Why did you bring us here? As you can see, this desert is where the Black Dragon has left its mark after centuries of war. There's not a single blade of grass that has grown here. Do you really believe that if the Black Dragon were just an ordinary flame, it could prevent all life from resurrecting for 100 years? I don't understand your meaning. You don't doubt it at all. It's all due to the curse of the Black Dragon. It can't be. The Black Dragon is the malevolent deity that rules over life and the curses of its minions. His power is a testament to the secret treasures bestowed by the Dark God. Why would a manifestation serving a malevolent deity entrust such secret treasures to your tribe? He is manipulating you. Let the curse of the evil spirit spread, including your parents and your frail sister, who has been ill for many years and is now like a candle in the wind. Your tragic fate today is all bestowed by the Black Dragon, and the Black Dragon's soul in your Dragon Valley is the key to breaking this curse. How long does it take for a 7-foot man? 2 seconds or 3 seconds? Neither is the correct answer. I haven't said it, but you all understand that. After resolving the second guard, Kovu turned his head and signaled that Athene could come out. However, Athene was still caught up in the previous scene, not even noticing his actions. In just a moment, the battle had ended. Leave the rest to me, you be careful behind. Protect what is in your grasp. With that, the two slowly stepped into the Black Dragon Temple in the Dragon Valley. The other guardians didn't even have time to react before Kovu struck them down with uncanny speed. Etienne still hadn't realized what he was about to face. Upon entering this dimly lit room, both of their gazes were immediately drawn to the timeline before them. The flower in Etienne's hand responded, radiating a brilliant light. "Kovu, what's happening?" But Kovu did not answer Etienne's question. Instead, he began to laugh heartily, his moans transforming into wild laughter. "It's all right, Etienne, you need not fear." When Kovu unlocked the concept of time, a dazzling golden light instantly illuminated the room. The treasures within left Etienne utterly astonished. This was indeed the secret treasure that the black dragon had left for his ancestors. The black scale stood out remarkably, and it was also the Achilles heel of the black dragon. Faced with the treasures that had been safeguarded by his ancestors for centuries, Etienne felt overwhelmed. "If I follow your words, will my sister be able to recover?" Kovu silently gazed at Etienne, who was trembling with fear, and gently placed his hand on his shoulder, saying, "How can there be such foolish creatures in this world?" Guyu's words were like a sword, piercing through Etienne's heart. He looked up and saw another terrifying face besides Guyu's strange smile. Guyu grabbed Etienne and pulled him towards the stone wall. No matter how loud Etienne's call was, it was just a faint echo. At the moment of contact with the black dragon, he emitted a golden light. The fear in Etienne's eyes turned into despair. Luna had just woken up from her dream. When she woke up, she realized that Etienne was no longer in bed. As she walked out of the tent, she saw a scene that made her uneasy. At the same time, the earth shook violently. The feeling of vibration also spread to a nearby cave. Dorothy woke up in her dream. Quickly, he realized what had happened on the secret island. "Oh my God," the black dragon angrily flapped its wings. "Who dared to touch my treasure?" After speaking, the stone wall was shattered by the black dragon. The person who was awakened by the noise had not yet realized what had happened, until someone pointed to the sky and exclaimed, "Look there. A massive object is flying towards the Dragon Valley." After hundreds of years of slumber, Gon's eyes are filled with rage. At this moment, the Black Dragon Temple has become desolate. Ruby desperately called out Aishin's name, but no matter how loudly she called Aishin, Aishin didn't respond. Aishin's arm disappeared at the moment the light appeared. Fortunately, thanks to Ruby's unremitting efforts, Aishin finally regained some consciousness. As he slowly looked up at the beam of light, he saw Guyu standing there, his eyes filled with longing for treasure. "I finally found you." When he reached out to touch the tree god's flower, it bloomed again. But without any confusion, a huge beam of light directly engulfed him, which meant that the treasure had completely accepted him. Kovu reacted quickly, without hesitation. "I was no longer human. I saw the flower of the tree god slowly merge into Kovu's body. A brand new network formed inside his body, and when the light and smoke disappeared, Guyu had already completed his transformation. Just as he was trying to leave, Gon suddenly landed and blocked his way. "Stupid person. Do you know what will happen if you touch my treasure? Result for me, now is the best result." As soon as the words fell, the surrounding ancient buildings were suddenly swept into the crazy wind by the strong wind. His wings flew in the bright night sky. "When I first saw the black dragon, my name was Guyu. At the same time, I am the incarnation of a blessed goddess who will bury you here. The battle between the two divine incarnations has already begun. The black dragon is one of the 6 incarnations that possess a sacred treasure. Meanwhile, the new embodiment of wings bore mysterious powers. Only those who survived had the right to stand in this sky." At that moment, the winds from Kovu's transformation stirred up swirling dust. As Etienne slowly lifted his head, he beheld a sight he had never encountered before. The atmosphere between the two avatars had become so tense that it could erupt at any moment. However, what puzzled Gon was why this person possessed divine artifacts, and in greater numbers than one should. By all rights, a standard embodiment should not be able to bear such overwhelming power. "What have you done with the previous owners of those artifacts?" Gon demanded angrily. Upon hearing this, Kovu burst into maniacal laughter. "If I hadn't slain those fools, where would these treasures come from?" As soon as he finished speaking, 5 orbs of light gathered around Kovu. With a powerful flap of his wings, the orbs erupted against Gon's form. As the smoke cleared, Gon's figure started to reveal itself. Kovu immediately noticed that Gon, now severed from his divine artifacts, no longer wielded the same power as before. Observing this, Kovu sneered, "You are merely a shadow of the era of gods. I must utterly defeat this delusion." Those words instantly ignited Gon's rage. The enormous dragon face unleashed a torrent of mud, yet with swift agility, Kovu effortlessly dodged. Moments later, Gon lunged toward the ground, roaring, "You little brat, don't think mere protection can stand against me." As Gon recited an ancient incantation, massive fire orbs appeared around him. These orbs soared like meteors directly towards Kovu. In response, Kovu quickly turned, coldly declaring, "Then I shall show you the omnipotence bestowed upon me by the goddess. May the light of knowledge illuminate the enemy." In the blink of an eye, the fiery orbs of Gon struck relentlessly. Kovu remained vigilant, but in a moment he was engulfed by a colossal burst of light. As the brilliance gradually faded, the two adversaries faced each other, sharing a singular thought: it was time to unleash their strongest techniques to determine the victor. Both sides flapped their wings fiercely, intertwining streams of power in the air. Gon's skills clearly faltered under the pressure. The lights pierced through Gon's defenses, barreling straight towards him with no escape. Gon took a devastating hit, illuminating the night sky. Those witnessing could not help but marvel at the might of the ancient incantation, yet their faces were etched with worry for Gon. Kyuthian, struggling with all his strength, managed to rise, murmuring Luna's name. Anguish and regret swelled within him. But what could he do now? As he looked up at the sky, a sudden sound caught his attention. Seeing Gon's body destroyed, the proud soul realized that your time was running out, and Guwu also gave up Gon's form. "You made a fatal mistake. Arrogance and ignorance. You have lost your evil power, only your current strength. How dare you stop me? But perhaps this is for the best. In this sky, there should not be two kings alive." As the words faded, the figure of the ancient spirit transformed into a beam of light, soaring into the heavens. Watching the silhouette vanish, one could only sigh. Kian was still far too young. Yet it may be for the best in this sky. There should not be two kings alive. The moment the ancient spirit's words left its lips, it turned into a streak of light, ascending towards the sky. Gazing at the departing spirit, one could only lament that Athean was still too young. Like many boys, it was only after being deceived that he matured into a man. Gon coldly questioned Kyothian. "You brought the winged form to the Black Dragon Temple, didn't you?" Kyothian's remorse was evident as he repeatedly apologized to Gon. He never expected a malevolent deity could possess such discontent in its departure. "Do you think a few apologies could earn my forgiveness?" Gon's voice dripped with sarcasm. "The rest of your life will be spent beneath my wrath and curse. I want you to live with regret until your dying breath." As the words fell, Gon's body was consumed by the black flames. The flames coalesced, forming the head of a dragon. Yet, this tragedy was merely the beginning for Kyothian. What awaited him was the most desperate malice of the world. Gon had clearly taken shape, swiftly rising into the sky. A foreboding sensation crept into Kyothian's mind, but the very thing he feared most became a grim reality. The direction that Gon soared towards was the village. In the blink of an eye, Gon had arrived above the village. The fury of the black dragon swept through every corner, engulfing the panicked villagers who couldn't escape, consuming them in a flash. Among them was Kyothian's older sister. The cries of anguish echoed across the sky as Kyothian screamed his sister's name, racing toward the village. But waiting for him was the malice and curse of the black dragon. That power quickly enveloped Kyothian, flooding relentlessly into his body. Flesh and blood began to regenerate on his body. Black flames gradually enveloped his heart. Kyothian continuously endured the agonizing cycle of tearing and rebirth that spread throughout his being. His arms morphed into the shape of colossal dragon claws. Everyone was foolish. From this day forth, your rage and thirst for vengeance will transform into my strength, and I shall curse you for eternity. In the blink of an eye, returning to the present, Kyothian found himself trapped in darkness. Though he had been defeated by Kovu in battle, his desire for revenge had never wavered. He thought it was just an ordinary confrontation, but suddenly an elusive sensation washed over him. Back in the present, Kovu watched as Kyuthian plummeted, unable to suppress his astonishment. Who would have guessed this journey would still be rife with surprises? It was time for us to return to the Divine Temple. After receiving the command, the Guardian strode directly toward Kovu. With a resounding crack, the Guardian opened a portal to another realm. Just as the ancient being was about to depart, Dia called out to him, raising his voice. They say you are a malevolent creature, yet you claim to be a god. Meanwhile, this child clearly embodies a true reincarnation. Can you tell me who I was before I met you? Am I not like this child? Hearing this, the ancient being smiled enigmatically. Everything is merely a matter of cause and effect. When the cause is severed, the connection naturally fades away. I hope that one day we will meet again. Oh heavens, spare me your meaningless words. If it weren't for my body being filled with sap, I wouldn't hesitate to come at you with a few slaps. That moment, in the royal bath of the warrior clan, just from my silhouette, you need not speak of gender, make your own assumptions. At that time, I was utterly powerless. Suddenly, 2 attendants entered. Your Majesty, we have news from the southern outpost of Duke Hakimi. The king immediately stood up upon hearing this. It has been ages since I have heard such good news. You two are quite fortunate. If you had brought me bad tidings, I would have prepared a little punishment for you. According to the letter, the one accompanying him also has a reincarnation and 2 humans. Is that reincarnation a creature with wings? The golden-haired man immediately inquired. The identity of that reincarnation is still unclear. It would be best for your Majesty to investigate it yourself. It's rather intriguing that Hakimi has brought such surprises to me. At the southern gate of the warrior city, as the portal opened, Dia and Hakimi stepped into the city. Hakimi introduced himself, revealing that he shared a deep grudge with the winged reincarnation, just like Kyuthian. This time, he invited Dia to join him at the organization's headquarters. On the surface, they appeared to be seeking rewards for their battles, but their true objective lay solely in the immense power possessed by Kyuthian. After that battle, Les vanished mysteriously. Dia's purpose for this trip was to meet someone within the warrior city. Doors to the conference room creaked open, the atmosphere inside heavy with tension and solemnity. Everyone fell silent, awaiting the king's appearance. Beneath the king's hand, the warriors stood like storm clouds. Such a collision would surely bring someone down. As the guards shouted, "His Majesty has arrived," the figures of 3 individuals materialized before Dia. With some knowledge of the warrior clan, Dia immediately recognized the king. He was the protector revered as the war goddess of the warrior clan and the captain of the winged reincarnation, who was exceptionally despised. However, when it came to capturing a breathtakingly beautiful woman like her, do I need to prepare anything? Hakimi was about to kneel before the queen when she halted him. Don't do anything foolish upon our first meeting. Right now, I simply wish to hear the results of your investigation. Hakimi replied, according to our plan, they attacked the participants in the arena, disguising themselves as them to join the fight. However, after that, we reached the temple, only to encounter an unexpected turn of events. There, I met the true form of the winged entity. The 2 female warriors instantly displayed expressions of shock. Don't say another word, just continue. Honestly, it makes me feel so embarrassed. I haven't even laid a hand on him, and I've already been defeated in 1 move. Are you sure you can make it back alive? Look at this wound, it's no small matter. This minor injury is insignificant for a warrior of the warrior city. I will not give up because of this. One day, I will defeat him with my own hands. Hearing Hakimi's words, the queen couldn't help but smile. You truly are my warrior. You live up to the title of the Bald One. And who is the person beside you? I apologize for not introducing him sooner. This is Dia, the embodiment of nature. He shares the same goal as us, so he will be an ally providing strength and support for our endeavors. Without him in the previous battle, I would have already met the King of Hell. The queen turned to Hakimi, inquiring about the status of the others. 2 members accompanied the queen. One was a savage, and the other was a young girl. The girl's accommodation had been arranged well. As for the savage, due to severe injuries, he has yet to awaken and remains in a deep slumber. Well done, you shall be rewarded handsomely in the future. The queen stepped forward to Dia, welcoming him to the warrior city. "My name is Ross. Thank you for aiding the warriors of my tribe." Dia nodded. "It's nothing, just a bit of effort. Now that we have formed an alliance, you should also share your tribe's goals." Dia began to recount to Ross about the branch within his body. As soon as the branch was mentioned, Ross immediately grew cautious. Suddenly, a loud scream from the side caught everyone's attention. The queen doesn't need to hear this woman's story. From the moment he stepped through the gate, I couldn't bear the stench radiating from him. He has the form of a winged embodiment. You admit that you have his branch within you. Hearing the words of the dark-skinned woman, Dia's expression turned serious. "Dia, is what she said true?" "Yes, since encountering the winged embodiment, the branch within me has been restless. However, it is precisely because I don't fully understand this branch that I came to seek your assistance." Ras asked Hakimi if he had ever told Dia about the branch. Hakimi immediately shook his head. If this girl is the one that Kovu is searching for, then this is undoubtedly a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. Suddenly, a guard interrupted the conversation, rushing in to report. Ras, furious, shouted, "Can you really drink to the point of this? Is this a royal meeting? My apologies, Your Majesty, but this is an urgent matter. A mysterious monster has attacked everyone in the nearest slum. Those who have been frequently abducted know all too well the consequences of disobedience. The very reason Athene was targeted is that he possesses the strength of a giant. Just 2.5 minutes ago, a man had gathered his power and swung toward Athene, believing he could easily dominate him. But as the dust settled, an expression of shock crossed his face. To his astonishment, in the midst of danger, Athene had transformed, revealing dragon-like claws. The wound from the sword's energy left on those dragon claws was healing at an astonishing rate. Seeing this, the captain of the guards immediately ordered his subordinates to retreat to the palace. Your hands possess a truly rare potential. However, at this level, it's still too early for you to take flight. Hearing the word flight, Athene instantly summoned the police. The man who had just raised his sword in defense was utterly blindsided as Athene unleashed a powerful strike, sending him flying. Those claws are beyond imagination. If I were struck by a blow, it wouldn't just be my sword that suffered. I'd have several holes in my body. Yet, what intrigued the man was how Athene, despite clearly not being in top shape, could wield such formidable strength. Under the curse's influence, Athene suddenly lurched forward. The man seized this golden opportunity, driving his blade straight into Athene's chest, freezing him in place. At that moment, dark flames erupted from Athene, even his jaw sprouting razor-sharp teeth. Athene abruptly lifted his head, his gaze brimming with an insatiable bloodlust. The man sensed something was terribly wrong and hastily withdrew his sword, maintaining his distance from Athene. The echoes of Athene's roar reverberated through the underground city, his bones cracking audibly. The flames tore through Athene's skin. Flames enveloped him completely. Gradually, his size began to increase amidst this agony. At that moment, everyone recalled the terror of being ruled by a giant. Along with Athene's screams, his body was covered in sharp spikes. A massive earth dragon stretching dozens of meters appeared. It was unbelievable. What other cards was this guy hiding, Grower? The man was about to draw his sword to confront him, but in the blink of an eye, Athene's colossal claws loomed before him. The man sensed the overwhelming aura. Was Athene about to strike? Raz brandished his sword and leapt into the air, shouting, "Dare to cause chaos on my territory. Do you want to be fried or boiled?" Before long, the guards had surrounded Athene. Dia immediately cried out, "Ras, stop. He is not our enemy. This monster poses a threat to my people. No matter who he is, I will not let him go today." Suddenly, Athene's eyes shifted, and his massive claws raised high. A powerful swing left Ras feeling as if he were dreaming. What on earth is this guy doing? Athene had plunged his dragon claw deep into his own neck while fiercely pulling apart the sides with both claws, ripping off the dragon's head. The colossal body then collapsed to the ground. Witnessing this scene, everyone was still frozen in fear, unable to react. Only Dia understood the reason behind Athene's actions. He no longer wished to remain under the curse of the Black Dragon's control. Looking at the man with an iron will before him, Ross felt a surge of admiration rising within his heart. 2.5 hours later, in the royal hall, the captains convened for an urgent meeting. Cyro announced that Atian had been imprisoned in the dungeon, while Dia was under the watchful eyes of the royal guards, ready to receive orders. Surely, you all know why I called this meeting. This matter concerns our future and the two embodiments. Such a dangerous and unstable factor cannot be contained for long. It would be better to deal with it directly, right now. Heiss, your approach is truly crude, yet I find his abilities quite intriguing. If we could become allies, that would be wonderful. But before Niu could speak, Heiss hurled the word silence at Yohakimi. When you brought him here, did you not foresee his potential? Indeed, I have witnessed the conflict between him and the winged embodiment firsthand. What kind of joke is this? Hakimi never warned us about bringing this monster in. I know his presence will cause chaos within the kingdom. Even if there are objections, I believe we must proceed as planned. His power goes beyond what we have seen today. If we can help him control this strength, he will become a weapon superior to all of us. After hearing Hakimi's words, Ross nodded in agreement, but this only stirred Heiss into an immediate outburst at Yo. Haven't you fought against that guy already? With your abilities, shouldn't it be easy for you to deal with him? I was the first to intervene in this matter. It may seem strange that I rate him highly, but he truly possesses great potential, just as Hakimi has said. If the queen hadn't intervened, then both sides would have suffered irreparable losses. Moreover, his abilities do not end with what we have already witnessed. Yo's words left Heiss momentarily speechless for 2.5 seconds. Ras quickly made a decision and shouted, "Bring forth the envoy of the Rabbit clan." When the queen called out, a familiar figure slowly entered the hall. "Long time no see, everyone. Do you remember me?" In no time, they had reached the dungeon in the city. Worried that Athean might go berserk again, they had secured him tightly with iron chains. The room's door swung open suddenly, accompanied by the sound of delicate high heels. I was worried you might feel a bit awkward upon seeing me, but it seems that's entirely unnecessary. Exactly. It's that very look. Every time you gaze at me with those eyes, my heart can't help but race wildly. This boss possesses the ability to create beings. Just like Kiz, who transforms into a terrifying power within the temple, he has hidden 4 more individuals. Previously, in the royal hall of the warrior city, the appearance of Bai Zi leaves everyone in utter astonishment. How on earth did you manage to get in here? Meanwhile, Yo's attention drifts elsewhere. The girl named Locke, the little human who had taken care of Atian before, mischievously enters alongside Bai Zi, making me wonder how I couldn't find her before. Locke reveals that Bai Zi has a glowing golden pocket watch that suddenly brought her here. When Hakimi seriously inquires about Bai Zi's purpose, Ross explains to everyone. Not long ago, Bai Zi had arrived in Warrior City. Her purpose for coming here is to form an alliance with us, providing enough power to confront the transformations. Initially, I thought she was insane, but now I see that many events have unfolded just as she said. I am very interested in your proposal. Please state your conditions. After hearing this, Ras immediately clapped his hands. Our clan seeks a long-lasting harmony with Warrior City. In return, not only can we receive information about the transformations, but we can also offer support from the revenge transformation. Suddenly, a menacing aura from behind sends chills down Bai Zi's spine. A wave of danger is approaching. Everyone turns to the distance, only to hear a voice booming from behind Bai Zi. "You scoundrel, Bai Zi! How dare you take advantage of my absence to sell me like a mere commodity?" As Locke turns around, her earlier sulkiness vanishes upon seeing the person before her, and she rushes forward, both crying and calling out, "Big brother, if we're going to cooperate, there's no need for the transformations to be handled by anyone else but me." With that, Heiss immediately transforms into 2 clawed hands. Isn't this guy supposed to be imprisoned? Heiss is unaware that those guarding Atian have all been sedated by Hazy. "Your Majesty, please give the order. I can't wait to tear this guy to shreds." "Calm down, Heiss. I want to learn more about him before making a decision." The reason Ras wants to understand Atian is due to the scars on his body. The number of scars far exceeds what he himself carries. Those scars are the metals of a true warrior. Ras can clearly sense a powerful life force flowing within him. Among all the transformations he has seen, none can compare to Atian. Baizi shyly introduces him to everyone. This is our secret weapon, the revenge transformation, Atian. Just then, Baizi is unexpectedly grabbed. When did you become my possession? Has my inactivity made you restless? No, I wouldn't dare. Due to his body not fully recovering, Atian suddenly leans forward, and Hezi wraps her arms tightly around him. The sensation from her embrace is utterly intoxicating. Atian clearly knows that if he looks directly into her eyes, I fear he might be enchanted by her allure. Seeing this, Black Tsu mocked. It seems you're not too pleased. Allow me to take over. Atian was furiously tightening his grip on Baktun, irritated by these two ladies teasing. Can he truly defeat the incarnation? Suddenly, Ra's words interrupted the enjoyment of Baktun, who at that moment was filled with gratitude towards the queen. Although we do not understand your past, we fully grasp your desire for revenge. As you see, everyone here shares a common goal, sparing no cost to destroy the incarnation of resentment. The hatred towards this incarnation is the reason we have gathered here. The person who fought you before, Yeo, was the same. He was once a member of the tribe that followed the incarnation, but a secret led to his destruction by the incarnation. Since then, he has sworn to exact revenge on the Harbinger. Thus, it's evident that your heart radiates with boundless malice towards it. May I know your name? My name is Ross, the king of this eternal city. Atian, with a relaxed demeanor, released his grip on Baizi's head. If you wish to know whether I can deal with the Harbinger, allow me to showcase my abilities. The curse of the Black Dragon possesses the power to consume. As long as I devour more beasts, my strength will continuously amplify. If you dare obstruct my path, I won't hesitate to feast once more and reclaim his powers. Feistin immediately erupted in fury. Your Majesty, did you hear that? This guy is insufferably arrogant. Raz, relishing in this moment, signaled Heist to take a seat. Atian's boldness piqued Ra's interest further. Indeed, you are the one I have chosen. I assure you, in the name of the Queen of the Warrior City, we are officially establishing an alliance today. Sero Bardro commands you to escort Dia here. At your command, Your Majesty. We must make haste. Meanwhile, at an ancient temple, the eyes of the underworld tribe revealed their insights. He is one of the elite warriors serving under the blood-transmuted Harbinger, known as Bei Long. Not only does he possess spatial manipulation abilities, but his power is also formidable. Alongside him, there are 4 others with similar capabilities. It's not hard to envision the sparks that will ignite between this group and the Harbingers of the Warrior City in the near future. Kiz, the spirit of the girl taken by Kawaii, has now awakened the power of the Thunder God after her rebirth. As a superboss, Kovu is preparing to undertake a wildly ambitious endeavor, creating humans unlike any other, beings that are harbingers endowed with extraordinary powers. As Bei Long's hands merged, a colossal portal materialized behind him. The crowd gradually approached the portal, only to be met with the deafening roars echoing from the other side. At Tovyu's feet, countless beasts gazed upward, revering their enigmatic deity. To succeed, one must plunge forward with reckless abandon. As long as you dare to risk it all, failure is not an option. Today you may sleep in the dirt, but tomorrow you shall rise as a master. Push forward, push forward, push forward. It's time to get to work. After that, Kovu spoke to the soul beasts. Your current forms are blessings from the divine. Only those who survive are worthy of escaping this filthy shell. Together, let us ascend to the heavens. There is but one chance. Suddenly, the battle among the soul beasts erupted. 4 colossal arms rose up, crashing down with a thunderous force, shattering the beasts nearby. The others joined in, attacking one another. Witnessing this scene, Kovu wore a satisfied smile. The valley echoed with screams and cries. Each beast fought to prove its worth before the divine. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the warrior city. Dia was escorted by 2 guards into the royal hall. Raz greeted him warmly. Yet Dia's attention was not on Ras upon seeing Athean. He unexpectedly displayed an expression of exasperation. There was Athean holding a lovely girl in his left hand, while his right hand almost pushed Dia to the brink of losing his composure. With keen perception, Dia immediately noticed something unusual about Athean. Was it the curse preventing his body from recovering, or was there another reason Dia tried to relax? I've lowered the guard's vigilance towards you. Just now, I finished discussing the alliance with Athean. Dia and Athean, I now officially recognize you as members of the alliance. Hey, I haven't agreed to become friends with you. Hakimi quickly clarified to Athean, even if our relationship is merely a temporary alliance, it's only because the blood form needs your strength to counterattack. As Hakimi mentioned, Dia, his expression turned grave. The story he was about to tell would be harsh for Dia. Dia stated that from the moment he entered Warrior City, he had mentally prepared himself. He didn't want to live in ignorance in this world. Ross pondered for a moment before slowly uttering 3 words, Hu Qi Sheng. That is the name of the branch of magic from another world within you. Hakimi had previously mentioned this in his report. You've witnessed the transformation of the soul beast at the White Lotus Temple, haven't you, Ka? Dia quickly recalled the gentle face of that child. Hu Qi Sheng, like a gift from the blood form, would merge with the soul beast. The energy it contained was immense. It could even turn hideous beasts into human forms. The power of the soul beast would evolve alongside this. Dia, astonished, asked, Are you saying that Hakimi is serious? Is it true that Dia currently possesses such capabilities because of the influence of the blood form? His original form was likely just a monstrous soul beast. Hearing this, Dia appeared somewhat puzzled and asked, If the wings of transformation wield divine power, why use it on a soul beast instead of directly utilizing it for the transformation? Because Hu Qi Sin's abilities are far beyond this. He can transform into the spiritual form of a monstrous beast. Then, Ross began recounting the day he witnessed the collapse of his homeland. As the wings descended, all the survivors were forced to flee. Wounded and weary, Ross gradually distanced himself from his homeland. Yet the scene that followed haunted him eternally. He saw a colossal figure with gigantic wings appear over the castle. When the shimmering light, like starlight, radiated from those wings and touched the ground, it began to tremble violently. Suddenly, a massive shadow charged straight towards the castle. The howls of the beast echoing everywhere, even from afar, they were distinctly audible. That monstrous beast was the embodiment of the war goddess, the royal protector. With just a single strike from the heavens, it effortlessly obliterated a monstrous spirit that came before it. Moments after Ross finished narrating his story, Thean posed a question. According to Ross, this being was neither a pawn of Kovu nor merely a spirit beast. Yet at first glance, it appeared as feeble as a chick. Thus, he was remarkably unique. We speculate that he could indeed be the very person Kovu has been searching for, the one at the threshold of another dimension. Dia, upon hearing this, felt as if her mind was about to explode. What kind of bizarre twist was this? Ross then explained that this was an ancient legend passed down through royal generations. The threshold of another world is a spatial rift that emerged when the art of interdimensional travel was birthed. The purpose of the transforming wings is to traverse this threshold and invade the realm of the gods. Kovu continually creates these transformations to nurture them into the seeds of interdimensional magic. However, the energy within Hu Qi Sin is so immense that ordinary monstrous beasts cannot endure it. After a painful evolution process, very few can harness that power. Those beasts unable to withstand it await only a singular fate. Soon after, Ross continued to inform everyone that the subsequent actions were the focus of this meeting. He needed the help of 2 individuals to investigate Hu Qi Sin. The primary subject of investigation was the embodiment of the war goddess who transformed into a monstrous spirit over 20 years ago. Night was deep, and as Baxi and Dia conversed, Athean's unusual behavior caught their attention. Baxi then explained to Dia that although Athean could absorb the abilities of spirit beasts by defeating them, if he went without food for an extended period, he would lose his sanity and gradually devolve into a mindless beast. Fortunately, at this critical moment, Hakte was present. Whenever Athean was on the verge of a rampage, Hakte could use his alluring abilities to keep him in check. I have a strange feeling about the abilities of Hakte. However, this is merely a temporary solution. Later, Baxi mentioned a deal with Dia. As long as Dia can help Athean overcome his difficulties, he will be able to wield the power of his clan to protect Dia. After all, Dia is one of the targets of Kovu. One day, he will seek you out. Baxi was taken aback when Dia flatly refused. Dia stated that he also needed to clarify the memories within himself, so he didn't require any deals. He would give his all to assist Athene. Following that, Baxi informed everyone of the known details. Ras has now started planning to reclaim the ancient kingdom. This cursed land is referred to as Pasa, and its counterpart is the embodiment of the war goddess who has transformed into a beast, one of the 6 incarnations of the unicorn. Upon its body, there might be information relating to Hu Qi Sin. Suddenly, Athene stood up and interrupted the conversation between the two. "Shut up, you worthless informant. Your so-called investigation is merely a cover for me to destroy that unicorn. Do I really need to be oblivious to that? First, take me to the next battlefield." "Hold on, my friend, it's not time for the main force to move yet." 3 days later, early in the morning, Ras summoned an expeditionary force of 100 warriors, including the captain of Team 3, Ye-O, and the captain of Team 4, Heis. This expedition would be led by the 2 of them to the ancient kingdom of Pasa. As the vanguard, their mission is to establish a base at the front lines. The ultimate goal of this operation isn't just to capture the unicorn, it's also to reclaim their homeland. At the command of Ross, the morale of the 2 teams soared to new heights. In preparation for battle, Huktae lifted the charm he had cast on Athene. He then asked Athene in a voice dripping with allure, "Are you feeling excited?" That boy was not just thrilled. The hunger I felt was nearly driving me to madness. A beast of such enormous size, I could devour 3 of them both. Then, Baxi pressed a button and a massive teleportation gate materialized. For the first time in over 20 years, they were returning to their homeland. What they reclaimed was not merely territory. It was also the honor lost over the past 2 decades. The gate on the other side opened, and everyone was ready to embark. At this moment, on a border in Pasa, Ye-O and Heis were racing toward the gate. How strange. It's foggy here, isn't it? Before long, Heis detected an unusual scent. There was no mistaking it. Heis immediately signaled to Ye-O that a monster was ahead. Beneath their feet, a spirit beast lifted its head to gaze upward. Suddenly, the image of Dia appeared before everyone as dozens of massive tree trunks plunged down from the cliff. Could this truly be the legendary Battle of Aura? The steeds gathered together, charged toward the monstrous beast, their might crashing down like a thunderous storm, severing one of its legs. The sheer horror of this creature's defense is overwhelming. Despite such a powerful blow, it still rises to its feet. Suddenly, the monstrous beast felt a gentle yet overwhelming pressure rapidly approaching. As it raised its head, it saw Athene standing right before it. Have you ever heard of a technique that descends from the heavens? Without hesitation, Athene smashed the beast's head into 1,000 shards. The onlookers were left speechless for 2.5 seconds. Yu chuckled, saying, "Now you must believe that what I told you earlier was true. I never imagined this mission would be more thrilling than I expected. A colossal beast like this is indeed a rare sight." The land of Pasa had been a forbidden zone for humanity for over 20 years, and now this was just the beginning for them. How does one tame such a ferocious beast? The answer is deceptively simple. Just seal its mouth shut. No one anticipated that Athene's hands were not only adept at grand endeavors, but also possessed such formidable abilities. At this moment, warriors from the kingdom were steadily arriving at Pasa. Because Athene had just vanquished a monster, the curse of the black dragon resurfaced, compelling Heisi to remain by his side, to keep him from going mad. Strangely, though it was morning, this forest was shrouded in darkness. Dia then signaled to Ruby, who instantly understood a colossal flame engulfed the monstrous beast. Where did this little lizard come from, and how can it be so powerful? The battle has only just begun, yet Heis couldn't contain her urge to stir up trouble. She glanced at Athene, wondering why he remained so still. The detective cat, filled with rage, turned to Heis and said, "Your discontent is painfully evident." Before we set off, Las had clearly instructed both of them to establish a forward base in the southern part of the capital, within the forest. The unicorn's incarnation had set up various beasts here to prevent any incursions from the outside. Yet now, this area had become the domain of the monstrous beasts. Bicey could only teleport to areas devoid of monsters, unable to cross that boundary. Therefore, the vanguard team must clear all obstacles in the southern forest. This mission is perilous, and Athene and Dia will join forces with the two of them. After all, the queen has acknowledged them as allies. As comrades, they would fight side by side in the future. Heis gritted her teeth, her gaze radiating danger. How could someone of such dubious origins become a comrade? To call him a teammate would be a disrespect to their ancestors. Only those willing to place their lives in each other's hands could be called such. Truly, a powerful individual who speaks with action. Wild transformation truly exuded immense power as it stood before Athene, speaking with unyielding confidence. Just after conquering a monstrous foe, fatigue began to set in. Could he still continue, you? Without him, the western dog and the rabbit would find themselves lost. Athene sighed, urging her to get straight to the point. It seems the queen is quite interested in your power, but I don't think so. When you transform, it's clear that you're holding back your strength. This shows that you can't fully control it. You're like a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. Athene stood up, facing Heis. I told you to get straight to the point, didn't I? Just say what you want. Unexpectedly, Heis flew into a rage the moment she heard this and even pretended not to understand. What I mean is, I want you out of this team. If you dare to refuse, I will tear you apart right now. This fox truly underestimates Athene's power. The air between them grew increasingly tense, like two old women in the street, neither willing to yield. Just as it seemed they were about to clash, a delicate hand, as radiant as jade, reached out, its pink glow floating like silk. In the blink of an eye, Heis found herself inside a cavern filled with skeletal remains. Witnessing this, Heis' CPU felt like it was about to smoke. Where am I? Immediately after, Heis hurriedly advised Athene to take a step back to avoid trouble. Don't forget the purpose of our journey. Athene instantly turned around. If you call me to do anything else, don't blame me. Athene had no idea that his unintentional action caused Heis to point her finger away. If you don't listen, I will punish you. All right, you're the strongest. What you say is right. Suddenly, Athene felt something was off and pushed Heis away. How stubborn could this kid be to act so forcefully? But when Heis finally saw what was in front of her, it was already too late. At that moment, a colossal mouth loomed before Athene, ready to swallow both of them whole. Everyone watching was stunned into silence for 2.5 seconds. When did this serpent appear? After consuming the two, the gigantic serpent immediately fled. Yu promptly signaled for 10 others to follow him in pursuit. Just a few steps out, the ground began to emit strange tremors. The source of the noise quickly drew near. This deadly horde of monsters was a manifestation of horses, and they were unafraid of pain. The frenzy of the beasts stirred up clouds of dust. There were at least dozens of them. Seeing this, Dia raised her staff and recited an incantation that sounded like birdsong, causing massive branches to erupt from the ground, piercing through the leading monsters. The dense pack of beasts formed a blockade, blocking the way for everyone. If we can't eliminate them, we won't be able to save Athene and Heis. Meanwhile, the giant serpent had taken the two deeper into the forest. It was amusing to think about what this giant serpent could do, relying solely on a bit of stomach acid to digest a tough man like Athene. Suddenly, Athene clapped his hands, instantly transforming. Dragon's claws plunged deep into the serpent's body. As he rose, he unleashed his full power. The serpent's eyes bulged in agony, and with a roar of pain, it turned and fled towards the northwest. Athene then gasped for breath, crawling out from within the serpent's carcass, not forgetting to take a trophy with him. Given its powerful stomach acid, this serpent could undoubtedly be considered a true gentleman. Just as Athene wrapped things up, the moment was interrupted when Heis slowly opened his eyes, completely unaware of the chaos that had just unfolded. He noticed Athene standing up. Athene merely asked, "Are you feeling better?" He bowed his head, indicating that he saw nothing. Heis was bewildered as to why he was here. "What do you see? Speak quickly." Suddenly, he realized his ears were perked up, and his face flushed crimson. Athene turned his head, pointing at the colossal serpent lying nearby. It seemed Heis had forgotten that he had almost become a delightful snack. At that moment, Heis finally understood that it was this man who had saved him during that crucial moment. His gaze toward Athene became much clearer and more radiant. Athene admitted that his strength had been exhausted. For a while, he would be unable to move. But judging by your hand position, it seems you accomplished something significant. Heiss immediately asked what had happened during his unconsciousness. Just then, Athene noticed something and grasped Heiss' small hand. Wasn't he being rather proactive now? In surprise, Heiss found himself pulled closer to Athene. The atmosphere grew a bit strange as they shared a moment of silence. Heiss was about to lift his head to ask Athene what he intended to do. But unexpectedly, in the next instant, Athene placed his hand on Heiss' head. That hand was strangely warm. The way Athene handled things could easily earn him the title of master. This wild transformation wasn't something easily grasped. Dozens of colossal serpents had detected the commotion and were now surrounding them. A sense of unease washed over Athene, leaving him perplexed. These colossal serpents were not mindless beasts. Each seemed to have a purpose in seeking them out. Heiss gently pulled away Athene's hand, asking if he intended to fight the giant serpents. Athene shook his head in refusal. As Heiss pointed out, he currently couldn't fully control the curse, especially without Heisi present. Using this power could very likely lead to madness. In their current situation, they had only two choices: either transform and engage in a grand battle, or keep their distance and return to base to regroup with their allies. Athene stated he would leave the decision to Heiss, but Heiss replied that there was a third option to sneak out and escape the forest before being detected. They would head to their predetermined location, now increasingly swarmed by serpents. No matter how many allies they had, they couldn't hope to win instead. It would only create unnecessary trouble. Hearing this, Athene found it reasonable. So what should we do next? Heiss frowned, hesitating before uttering a few words. There is a way, but you have to hold me from behind. Upon hearing this, Athene was instantly taken aback. Are we being so straightforward now? There was no time for explanations. Quick, get in the car. Just then, the serpents sensed something amiss and surged towards the two of them. Before the snakes could react, a shadow darted by with astonishing speed. Despite their overwhelming numbers, one of the serpents was caught off guard. But as it opened its mouth, the shadow swiftly tore through it, reducing it to mere fragments. I wonder how many others are out there like me. Always thinking of him as a cat, it turns out that after all this wild transformation, he was just a foolish dog. As the serpents regained their wits, they immediately gave chase. Yet compared to Heiss's speed, they were still sluggish. In just a moment, they reached the edge of the forest. At that instant, a mysterious figure appeared before Athene. He quickly recognized the 7 holes emblem. This was the insignia only the transformed birds bore. This meant that the person before him was undoubtedly a member of the ancient language sect. Furthermore, the gigantic serpents in the forest were closely tied to him. The old man opened his mouth and immediately commanded the two of them to stop. No living being can pass through here. From his shadow, several black serpents emerged. The dark figure moved swiftly, and as he approached Athene, he extended his shadow to embrace him. The speed of the black serpents exceeded Athene's imagination. This time, there was truly no escaping. Heiss understood the peril of their situation. He couldn't put all his eggs in one basket. Surrounded by the black serpents, Heiss was unable to move. Each bite struck vital joints, and the venom rapidly spread through his body, blurring his vision. Just as he was about to succumb to despair, Baotian erupted with fury. Beneath the claws of the dragon, the ground was littered with shattered black serpent carcasses. While Heiss lost his strength and reverted to his true form, he couldn't resist mocking Baotian, questioning why he hadn't fled when he had the chance. Baotian immediately embraced him tightly. The woman before me had always seen me as a weakling since we met. She even risked her own safety to protect me. All right then, it's time to end this. Your age has made you unable to withstand the youthful passions of your kind. All your efforts have been in vain. Soon, I will take you to meet him. Old man, you have dared to touch someone you shouldn't have. I do not transform into a dragon out of a desire to spare innocent lives. If you insist on seeking me, then let yourself become my tool in hell. This will be a battle between 3 divine transformations. Itum is a monstrous being with 2 transformations. Meanwhile, Baotian is cursed by the black dragon, transformed into one of the 6 great transformations. At this moment, Heis was encircled by the black serpents and had already been poisoned. Baotian showed no hesitation regarding this. He charged in with a fierce strike. Don't waste your energy. With your abilities, you won't be able to save this woman. The poison of the black dragon is a lethal concoction made from hundreds of types of serpent venom. Only those with the power to recover can cleanse it. In just 2 more hours, he would fall into a coma and perish. How coincidental, I just encountered an incarnation with healing abilities. Knowing his time is limited, all you need to do is lie still here. Don't move. Wait for me to finish skinning this chicken. I'll take you home after that. Don't go, Baotian. This incarnation is dangerous. Don't worry about me. Just run. Before Heis could finish, the murderous intent from Baotian erupted. Itam immediately sensed the anomaly in Baotian's incarnation. His incarnation carried a curse intertwined with his body, clearly the one mentioned in the dragon's report. If that's the case, I need not hold back. I am the incarnation of the ancestor, the one who sits upon the great wings. I am the one who will strike you down here. As soon as the words left his mouth, the tendrils coiling around Itam surged forth with incredible speed. A single bite would render his body immobile. The sudden attack caught Itam off guard. Just as the dragon's claws were about to reach the old lantern, the tendrils around Itam shot out to block this lethal strike. What surprised Itam was how swiftly Baotian acted. Before the old lantern could react, Baotian had already soared into the sky, aiming for Itam. The dragon's claws pierced through the old lantern in an instant. Ha ha ha! The tendrils from the wound suddenly shot out, latching onto Baotian's hand. The overwhelming power caught Baotian off guard. All that could be seen was the tendrils converging, forming a solid body, much larger and heavier than the transformed black dragon. Your incarnation possesses incredible abilities, but before the Emperor's incarnation, you're merely a weak chicken. Where did that ambition to crush me go? In truth, Baotian was not incapable of counterattacking at this stage. Rather, if he did, the curse's power would cause him to gradually lose control. At that point, the engulfing power could very well affect Heis. Given his current condition, escaping the black dragon's grasp was nearly impossible. Standing up was already a daunting task. Baotian resolutely chose the hardest path to protect the woman who once sacrificed for him, bearing all wounds with this body, waiting for the perfect moment to strike a fatal blow at the old lantern. This would slowly strip him of his ability to maintain control. By that time, the engulfing power could very well threaten Heis. With his current state, not only was escaping the black dragon's grasp a challenge, even standing up was incredibly difficult. Baotian chose the hardest path to safeguard the woman who once risked her life for him. He was determined to use this body to endure all injuries, waiting for the right moment to unleash a devastating strike on the old monster. Huck watched Baotian's back, reminiscing about Latu Island. Among teammates willing to risk their lives for each other, even though Huck had just arrived at Latu Warrior City, he was ready to sacrifice his life for him. Back in the present, Huck transformed once more into a wild form. But this time, his form was enveloped in blazing red markings. This was a temporary power achieved by burning away his own life force. When the heart accumulated strength, it was about to burst. The monster moved with such speed that even Athean couldn't react to the pain in time. The sensation of controlling his arms suddenly vanished. At this moment, Huck had become a streak of red light in the darkness, and no matter how Athean searched, he could not pinpoint Huck's location. Just as he was about to reach Huck, the red light surged forward again. The 8 beams of light it passed through shattered like glass with the slightest touch. Athean's strike seemed to halt momentarily, but that was far from the truth. The lights within the body of the Dragon Emperor collided and bounced back as Athean let out a pained scream. His entire being was severed, tendons and muscles torn apart. In an instant, Athean was left in utter shock. Huck, drained of all strength, turned to Athean with an apology in his eyes. "Perhaps I cannot return. You must survive." As soon as he finished speaking, Huck's body collapsed and the marks upon him began to fade. Witnessing this, Athean's fury transcended the bounds of reason. Instantly, a crimson aura of lethal intent engulfed the arena. No matter how proud the Dragon Emperor had been, before the third stage Black Dragon, it was merely a fledgling. Its bloodied maw gaped wide, and the Dragon Emperor was met with a tragic fate. In a perilous situation, the Dragon Emperor was besieged by a horde of monstrous beasts. Each time it was devoured, new allies emerged. When the wings of Konka pierced through the body of the Dragon Emperor, its insides shattered instantly. In that life-threatening moment, it let out a thunderous call to the Serpent God. Just moments later, a shadow emerged from the darkness of the open land, the Serpent God, transformed from the tail of the Dragon Emperor. They were a singular entity within the body of a Thean. This transformation had cost the Dragon Emperor a portion of its power. As long as another form existed within its body, it could regenerate. At this moment, a Thean, having absorbed Huki Sin, gradually shifted into the first stage of the Black Dragon. Upon regaining consciousness, he immediately realized his serpent tail was gone. Simultaneously, an odd sensation surged through him. The second stage body was overflowing with a power on the verge of eruption, and even his sensory abilities had significantly heightened. Quickly, he recognized this as the effect of consuming without a parasite. It was as if an eternal flame had ignited within him, continuously fueling him with immense energy. As his power surged, Athean reveled in the sensation, but still felt it was not enough. Through the resonance of Huki Sin, he sensed disturbances in the sky. The being above exuded an essence reminiscent of the Dragon Emperor, while within him lay half of Huki Sin. Athean reacted immediately. The figure in the sky was none other than Itum. As the wings spread wide, the inner voice of the Black Dragon resonated. Kill him, kill him, kill him. Seize the warrior within him, in the place where Bauthian was preparing to take flight. Just as he was about to pursue him, Bauthian noticed Heis lying motionless on the ground. Although chasing down that sluggish flying serpent seemed effortless, any delay could endanger Heis' life. After a moment of calm contemplation, Bauthian decided to abandon the pursuit. Meanwhile, outside the forest camp, Dip-O was leading his team in clearing away the last of the wild beasts. As Dip-O's sword pierced through the body of the ferocious creature, the camp fell silent once more, the roars of the monsters fading into the stillness of the night. At that moment, Dip-O sensed that something was amiss, though he couldn't pinpoint the cause. Similarly, Dia, after the battle had ended, shared the same unsettling thought. He believed that the deadly beasts had invaded the camp, yet they had inflicted no significant harm on the place or its inhabitants. According to Dia's assessment, there was only one possibility. This indicated that the beasts had not targeted humans, rather, they seemed to have caught sight of a terrifying predator, prompting them to flee deep into the forest. Just then, Huktu's appearance interrupted their conversation. He emphasized that now was not the time to ponder these matters. They needed to quickly locate Bauthian and Heis. Without their control, Bauthian could very well descend into madness. You truly chose to abandon the depths of the forest, Huktu interjected, cutting through their dialogue. He insisted that it wasn't the moment for reflection, they had to expedite the search for Athean Vu Huk, for without his oversight, Athean was at risk of slipping into a frenzy. As soon as he finished speaking, the sentry warriors heard a sound from above. After 2 hours of deep slumber, Heis gradually opened his eyes. If he hadn't heard voices around him, he would have genuinely believed he was dead. Dia was taken aback when Heis woke up. He thought the wound would keep him unconscious for days. Heis immediately inquired about Bauthian. Seeing him hastily trying to rise, Dia quickly reminded him, "Your wounds have only just been bandaged. If you exert yourself, the poison could spread to your heart. Even though my magic can detoxify, it won't be easy to save you. Thankfully, Bauthian brought you back without wasting too much time." "I heard you were carried back by that ugly man." Heis's face flushed instantly, and he asked Dia if that fool had been hurt. Not only did he fail to express gratitude to his savior, but he also secretly mocked him behind his back. It was a pity he had squandered the chance for a hearty meal. "I fear your life may hang by a thread. Are you all right? In the past, you worried for me, after that man pummeled you hundreds of times while you were in such a state. From now on, be more composed in your actions. Don't recklessly throw yourself into danger. I don't want to spend my entire life owing you a debt of life." Seeing Bao Tian flee, the two men could only shake their heads in resignation. This man truly has no sense of politeness. Yet, every time they catch sight of Bao Tian, an inexplicable thrill courses through them. Subsequently, Dippo informed everyone, "Do not worry about Heist's injuries. His wild form possesses a remarkable ability to heal itself." Besides expressing gratitude to Bao Tian, Dippo also inquired about what had transpired in the forest. The one they encountered was named I Tum. He is someone who can summon black serpents from the shadows. Could he be the one sent by the ancient sect Ames? From his signs and those of Han Casing, it is clear he has gained access to our information. The objectives of this dark organization regarding us are alarmingly clear. This indicates he holds a wealth of information about us. Will he strike again unexpectedly in the future? Judging by his injuries, it seems he won't return anytime soon. However, when I devoured his manifestation, a distinct feeling told me that he has burrowed deep into my being. Athean's curse has stabilized. I never anticipated that the power of that entity could be wielded in such a manner. If Athean can obtain the remaining part of that root, Han Casing may face unimaginable consequences. Now, let's be clear. Don't linger around me aimlessly. Next, Yido announced to everyone that the being known as Antum, the serpent manifestation, holds the 6th seat in the Holy Council. The seats in the Holy Council are directly chosen by Kovu. Their mission is to serve as guardians for the embodiment of the wings. Only 10 individuals possess boundless power. They are the most formidable beings in the realm of monsters. Among the first 5 seats of the Holy Council, they represent the strongest entities and serve as mentors to the 5 future guardians of the Holy Council. Thus, the appearance of Antam heralds an inevitable event. One of the 5 guardians of Kovu will make their entrance. Among these 5, there is one who is exceedingly fearsome. Every move he makes can unleash a natural catastrophe in mere moments. He has arrived atop the ancient castle of the kingdom. At this moment, Aitam appears like a frightened chick, her body and soul trembling uncontrollably. What terrifies her is not Alfian, but the towering muscular man standing before her. "Who has caused you such grievous harm? It would be wise for you to speak clearly before my wrath ignites." He is the one reported in the dragon's information. He has stolen half of my wings. Answer me. What is your mission? You instructed me to seal off the path to the Pasha lands and eliminate any who oppose you. I assure you, my lord, I have not forgotten your orders for even a moment. Just this person's ability is really strange. Love. The person in front of me is the 2nd highest in the Holy See, also known as the incarnation of a tyrant. Under his cold exterior, he is a resounding name. Don't talk nonsense. Love guides me until everything is over. I want to crush this person with my own hands.